let's start. Let's enjoy the beautiful morning one day before the solstice, which is probably one of my favorite days in the year, together with the winter solstice, where I always say that's the first day of summer. So let's just start on our feet, slightly separated. So separate a little bit wider than your hips, so the outside of your hips. And just let your knees very loose. So we don't want to be with straight legs. We want to bend our knees and maybe feel how that's going to activate a little bit more into your core. If you don't feel the difference, just stretch out your legs without doing anything different in your core or your chest. And then just stand and then bend your knees and see how you have to engage to be able to stand strong. So we're just going to stand here, bend your knees, and then inhale, reach up. And then bend your elbows a little bit. So same thing, bending the elbows, although we don't have any weight onto our hands, but just bending the elbows. And then stretch it out and feel what it does again to the center of your body. So the upper body is affected by our limbs. So reaching up and then release. And now reaching up, both your legs are straight, your arms are straight. Bend your knees. Maybe engage your lower back without compensating by pressing the belly button forward. So keep your back neutral. And now we're going to do something a little bit odd. So as you press into your knees, as you press into your feet to lengthen, you're going to relax your elbows. So now we're more or less standing in a pose without too much control, to say it like that. And then bend your knees, lengthen your arms. Let's do this one more time. So once you got the rhythm, it becomes a little bit easier. It's just the first one that can be a little bit awkward. Really reach your arms up, bend your knees. And then lengthen your legs. Bring your elbows at the height of your shoulders. Turn the palms forward and start to press your elbows back. So your hands remains on top of your elbows. So just have a look, adjust if you need to, and again, feel the difference. By just one little change, feel the difference. Inhale, press your shoulder blades together. Watch out not to compensate with your neck. And then come forward and then press your elbows towards each other as if you have a balloon that you want to totally press together. And then elbows together, palms together. And then again, open up, but as if there is resistance. So pressing, keeping the elbows at the height of your shoulders, feeling the shoulder blades move back. And then bring the forearms forward, keeping the elbows at the height of the shoulders. And then come up. So now the shoulder blades are moving up and down. Watch out for your neck. So eventually press your chin a little bit more back so your neck can remain long. And then last time. This time we're going to press the elbows forward and bring the forearms back. So if you bring the elbows back, you're going to be like this. So we want to press the forearms forward and press the elbows forward and bring the forearms back. So there's not a lot of movement there, but we just want to feel what that does. And then open your arms, turn the palms down and release. Let's lift the shoulders up to the ears. And then as you exhale, bring the shoulders back and down. And then inhale forward. So as you inhale, normally you create much more space into your chest. So you're going to have to inhale a little bit more through your belly here because you're closing off the chest. We'll change direction in a moment. So inhaling up, exhaling down, inhaling, exhaling. And now change the direction. So as you inhale, so this is much more natural, opening the chest, lifting, and as you exhale, closing off. So 2 more times here. And then release. Let's bring the right arm to the side, turn the palm up, and then bend your elbow and bring it to your shoulder. And then your elbow is gonna move towards the front and as much to the left as you can, keeping your hips in line. So we're not twisting here. We're keeping the upper body, the spine, without rotating. So we're trying to open up the back of the shoulder. If you want, you can place your left hand on your right elbow and start to press it forward. So just getting that movement. So normally we do this stretch like this, but we want to first focus onto the back of our shoulder. And now lengthen your arm, the palm goes to the back and press at the same spot. So on the elbow or a little bit higher, stay in line with your spine, reach your arm, your hand, your right hand to the left. So the more you reach, the more stretch you will feel into your shoulder. And then release. Reach the left arm to the side, bend your elbow, and then bring that left elbow towards the right. So again, without twisting, placing your right hand onto your elbow or a little bit higher and start to press. So very gentle opening of the back of the shoulder here. You might feel it in your biceps, triceps, depending where it needs to stretch. And then lengthen out your left arm, palm to the back, and press a little bit further. And then release. We're gonna bring the hands onto our lower back. So the heel of our hand is on our lower back. The fingers are just pointing back. Roll the shoulders back. And then bring the shoulders as close as possible together. So maybe your very flexible shoulders, bring your elbows as close as possible, I meant. So maybe if your shoulders are very flexible, you're touching your elbows. What's important here is to roll the shoulders back and bring the shoulder blades down. So keep on breathing as you're doing this. Try not to curve too much into the spine. So that's why we keep our hands here so that we can feel that the tailbone remains very neutral. Inhale, exhale, and then release. Let's bring the right arm up, reach up, and then exhale, go towards the left. So here, again, we start to move in the spine, but our hips still remain very stable. So open up, reach your arm over. So a couple of options here. You can keep your left arm pulling down. You can grab your right wrist and pull a little bit more. Whatever works best for you. And then turn your palm to the front and open your armpit even more towards the front. See if you can press your right arm a little bit more back. So opening up, going a little bit deeper. Opening up a little bit deeper. So the stretch goes really from the hip all the way to the fingertips. And then exhale, coming back. Take a breath in and a breath out. And as you inhale, reach the left arm up and start to go over as you exhale. So again, the option to grab the wrist here, if that's helping you to direct, so don't just pull. It's more giving a direction to your left arm. So hips remain very stable so that we can really go and get that stretch from our hips all the way over. And then turn the palm forward, open the armpit a little bit more. So watch out that you don't do crazy things with your head. Your neck is just a continuation of the spine. And then slowly coming back to center. Keeping the feet this time at hip distance. We're gonna bring the arms to the side. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, bend your knees and turn towards the right. So the hips will move a little bit, but the knees should remain as much parallel as possible to each other. And then coming back and then turning towards the other side. And let's do this a few times, just warming mostly the top of our spine as our hips and our knees remain quite a lot in line. So just moving that upper part of our spine. And last time, coming back and release. Taking a breath in and a breath out. Bring the hands behind your head. So interlace your fingers where skull and cervical spine touch. Open your elbows. So you want to really open the chest here again. And then very gently, just for a moment, pull the skin of your skull a little bit upwards so that you create space in your cervical spine. It's very well possible that your chin is going to drop a little bit. So don't resist that, because that's actually what we're going to do. So when you have a solid grip there with your hands, very slowly start to bring your chin towards your chest. So it's not about rounding the upper back. It's about bringing the chin to the chest. So keep the elbows open, come forward. Take a breath in before you go further, because we're closing off the throat, so breathing becomes more difficult, but not impossible. So feeling that stretch, that movement in the cervical spine, probably also in the top of your thoracic spine. So stretching those muscles along your spine. And then bring the elbows together. And see if you can go just a little bit further. And then very slowly coming back up. And release. So you might be dizzy as you come back up, which is surprising since there's not too much effort, but just be aware. If you're dizzy, heel of the hand between the eyebrows. So inhale, and now turn your head towards the right. Stay here, and every exhale, maybe go just a little bit further. So if we sink into our body, we will probably be able to go as far, but we're not working with our whole body. So our whole body is going to protect every movement that we do. And that's valid for everything we do. So that's why it's important to be aware of, even if you move your little toe, you'll get the support from the rest of your body. And then coming back to center. Take a breath in and then exhale, going to the left. So just observing the differences one side of the other. And if you notice big differences, you might want to do this a couple more times during your day. And then coming back to center. Inhale, lengthening, last one for the neck. Exhale, and start to gently roll from side to side. So if you're okay with bringing the head back, you can. I'm not a big fan of that. So just explore where your limit is. And if suddenly you feel like, ooh, that's not comfortable, stop, breathe, unless it's really bad pain, then you get out. And then coming back to center. So let's bring the hands onto our hips. Bring the weight into our left leg. So if you want a bit more stability, you can bend your knee, because that's automatically going to engage your quads. However, it's going to engage your quads. So it's going to tire your muscles a little bit more. So choose where you are at today. Explore. Reach your right knee up. Right foot is flexed. And then start to make circles with your right ankle. So big, small, whatever you need. And then changing direction, pointing, flexing. Watch out if your left leg is bent, that you don't collapse into your body. And then start to make little circles with your hips. So if you need to hold on to something here, by all means. And then change direction. And then coming back to center. And bend your knee, left knee, a little bit more. And this time, place your right foot over the left leg, just over the left leg, and start to bend your supporting leg. Ooh. So just warming up the hips here. So we're not going to do any crazy things. If you want to go further, by all means, always bending from the hip crease and keeping the spine straight in the beginning. So just warming up the hips here and then press into your supporting leg and release. Keeping the hands onto the hips, bringing the weight onto the right leg. Again, option to bend. Lift the left knee. So making sure the left knee is at the height of the left hip. If this is too much effort, because these are all this muscle into our hip joint that are doing this, keep it a little bit lower. Just make sure that it's active so that it's not just falling. And then start to make circles with your ankle, changing direction, point and flex. And then those little circles with your hips. Maybe it looks a little bit like circus. And then changing direction. And then coming back to the front, opening the hip, opening the knee, and bending the right leg a little bit more. So watch out with your toes. Very often we grasp our mat. We think that we can hold better onto our mat when our toes are like super tight, but actually it's bringing all the weight and the muscle force into your toes and diminishing the surface we're standing on. So it's not always what we expect it to be. So maybe going forward, see where you're at. And then press into your leg and come back up. Separating your feet a little bit more. And let's start to make circles with your hips. So really moving. You can start to move your arms up as well. Move your head. So whatever needs to move here. Maybe it's not circles anymore. If you're still doing circles, don't forget to go to the other side. So just loosening up. And then maybe swaying from side to side, leaving the arms hanging, following. Separating your feet as we continuing. So just, and then starting to lift the back heel. So really going side to side, reaching the arms a little bit further. And then coming back to center. Keeping the feet separated, pointing the knees towards the toes, so the middle toes. Placing your hands into your hip crease and start to bend your knees. So just staying here, feeling what's possible. Lift both your heels up and then bring them down. And lift up and bring them down. Lift up and bring them down. And last time, we're gonna stay a little bit longer, maybe sink a little bit deeper. And maybe starting to sway here as well. So still on our toes, engaging the calf muscles. And then coming back to center, placing the feet down. Press into your feet as if someone was pushing onto your head. Press into your feet. Press, press, press. Engage your butt muscles and come up. Placing the toes towards the front, separating the feet a little bit more. Take a breath in, hands into the hip crease, elbows back, and go down with a straight back. So if you need a block here, eventually, place it in front. So for now, we still have our back straight. You can press your fingers into your hip crease so that you can press the hips a little bit back and then reach the heart a little bit forward. Cervical spine, so the neck is in line with the rest of your spine. And don't press on the inside of your feet, but come onto the outside of your feet. Inhale, exhale, and then very gently bring your hands onto the floor or onto the block. Keep your spine straight for now, so roll the shoulders back. Take a breath in and a breath out. And then very slowly start to drop your head down. So my spine is still straight. I'm dropping my head down. I'm staying strong into my arms. And then very slowly start to bend your elbows. So your elbows are gonna go back. Maybe you need to get rid of the block, maybe not. We're rounding the spine, we're dropping everything down. If you have a block and it's accessible for you, place your forehead onto the block. So this is a restorative pose. It might not feel very restorative for you, especially if your hamstrings are tight. If you can separate your feet a little bit more, but just make sure that you keep the ability to really feel the strength into your legs. If we're too wide, we cannot pull the energy from the earth anymore. So in this pose, eventually it's going to feel comfortable. You could stay for a while. You can also do this with your head on a chair or even on the counter. So then from here, walk your hands towards the left. Grab your left leg with your right hand on the lower back, and start to open up. And I want you to explore today. So normally I would instruct or guide you to bring the hips back to the center. So just observe first where they go naturally, and then see what happens when you bring them back to the center. And then find a place where there is that little discomfort, but that feels good. And in the meantime, we're opening up towards the side. So I observe myself. I see that I'm really pointing completely towards the left. So I'm gonna try to bring my body back to the center as I bring my hips back in the center. But really for you, explore this pose. So it's about twisting, mainly in the belly here, and opening the chest, and then coming back to center, and then going to the other side. So left hand on your right leg, and it can be very high. Right hand on the lower back, and again, observe what happens with your hips. What happens if I come back to center? How does this feel? What is moving differently into my body? And then slowly coming back to center. If you still have that block, you can place your hands onto the block and lengthen your spine again. Bend your knees and heel toe your feet together. And then inhale, come all the way up. And exhale. Let's just release the legs a little bit. So I want to go into warrior tree, but I don't necessarily want to go into full warrior tree. So warrior tree, the final pose is where we are here. So that was a very quick, not so good demonstration, but so warrior tree, the most important is from the crown of the head to the back heel is one straight line. And you should really feel that length that you're creating in the strength. So the supporting leg is important, can eventually again be bent. But we are going to start with our hands on our hips. Come onto the left leg, so strong supporting leg. And then bring your right foot back and come onto your toes. So from here, start to feel how you can find that alignment from the crown of your head to your back heel. So if you feel that you're compensating, so you should feel that in your lower back, or maybe you feel your belly button dropping forward, then really realign, bring the tailbone maybe a little bit down, lengthen your spine, open your chest, bring the elbows back. And then if you want to go a little bit further, start to lift your right leg. So strong right leg, foot is flexed, and see how far you can go. So again, if you need to bend that left knee for a little bit more support, that's fine. So the whole body is working here, not just your leg or your standing leg or your leg in the back or your abs. Everything works together. If one falls out, you're gonna fall down. So, and then up to you to be an airplane or to go into the full expression of the pose. So press that back, heel back. Reaching forward, watch out not to compensate with the lower back. And then very slowly coming back. And release. Bring the hands back onto the hips. So right leg becomes a supporting leg. Bring the left foot back, come onto your toes, and already find that length. So taking advantage of the support of our toes, we're going to see if we can just lean a bit forward with the upper body so that we can find that one long line. And then gently start to go forward. And one side can be very different than the other, whether it's balance or strength. So just observe, keeping the hips parallel with the floor here. Flexing the back foot, so the foot that's lifted is flexed, maybe slightly pointing the toes in so that your hips remain parallel. And then see where you can get here with your arms. And then very slowly coming back. And release. So let's come into our Tadasana. Taking a deep breath in and a long breath out. And if you never try to jai breath or ocean breath, it's about just closing off in our throat so that the air has a little bit more difficulty to come through. And it makes a sound like the waves or the ocean. Okay, so let's come to the front of the mat. Take a breath in and a breath out. Let's bring the arms behind us. Roll the shoulders back, interlace the hands, and then lengthen out the arms. Take a step back with the right foot. So open the chest, really open the chest, bring the shoulder blades together. Watch out for the floating ribs. So just, if you feel that you really like these ribs here, the lowest ribs might just pop forward. So bring them back in with the help of your abdominals, not pressing back. So we don't want to press it, but just so that the spine can remain aligned. And then inhale, we're not going to go very far here. I just find it important to, at the same time, we're opening the calf muscles and the back and the hamstrings. So lengthening your spine, pressing the feet down. The more you press the feet down, the more stable you are, reaching your head, the crown of your head forward, your heart forward. Inhale, exhale, and then press into your feet, come back up. And just pivot onto your feet, adjust them so that the right foot is a little bit more out, and then change the clasp of your hands. So very unnatural for most of us. Roll the shoulders back, lengthen the arms, strong feet, strong legs, and then slowly start to go forward. Keep on breathing, observing the body. And then press into your feet and come back up. And again, pivot to the other side. So if you have 2 blocks, I would ask you to take them. If you don't, you can take a book or whatever is going to bring some height. If you don't have it, it's okay. I'll give you some adjustment or some points to pay attention to. So placing the toes together, heels slightly apart, if that's comfortable for you. Take a breath in and a breath out. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, start to fold forward from the hip crease. Bend your knees in time, roll the spine down. Place your hands down and then bring the right foot back. Right knee comes down onto the floor. Take your blocks, if you have them. Place your hands on it and find that long, long spine. So make sure your front heel is not behind your front knee. So walk your front foot a little bit more forward if you need to. If you don't feel anything into the right groin area, you might just want to go back a little bit with your knee. So don't do that just like that. You're going to doink your knee on the floor, so find that support. And then from here, roll the shoulders back, shoulder blades down, and then let yourself sink. So if you don't have blocks, you can bring your fingertips onto the floor as long as you can keep your spine straight. If that's not possible, keep your hands onto your thigh and then gently let go. So the blocks are just giving an extra push to keep the spine straight. So every exhale will just let go into the hips. So don't need to push down, just letting go. And then slowly press into your front foot so that you can start to lengthen your front leg. Press your toes down, your left leg. Press your toes down, bring your blocks with you if you have them. And then keep pressing the toes down. If your left leg is not fully straight, that's okay. We want to focus on opening the front of our foot. And then start to lift your toes towards you. So you're coming onto the back of your heel. And again, keeping that spine straight. And maybe here, if you have the blocks, maybe you can go one level lower. This time the left leg is straight, straight, straight. Your toes are very actively pointing towards you. So you're only going back, bending in the hip crease, allowing your spine to stay straight, finding that big stretch into the hamstring. And then coming back to the front. So take your blocks with you, tuck your back toe, and just bring your knee a little bit closer so that you're more into straight 90 degrees corner. Place your right hand onto the floor or onto the block. And then inhale, start to open up towards the left. So press into your block. Make sure you have enough space here to open up. And then reach up, lengthen your upper body. So really bring that heart forward. Bring the shoulder blades down so your chest can remain open, and then reach up. Don't lean onto the floor, onto the block. So you really want to be very active so that you don't sink into the shoulder. Press up, reach up, lengthen out. Maybe even go a little bit more back. But if you go back and your shoulders are flexible, don't just throw your arm back. See if you can keep your hand in line with your shoulder. And I know that's not available for everybody. So if you're here, you will have to twist a little bit more into your spine to go back. And then slowly come down. Put the block on the side. Walk your left foot out. So I'm just going to turn so you can see what I'm doing here. So walk your left foot out, and then we're just going to gently push and open up. So you can come a little bit deeper, sink into your hips again, and open up. So we can't get very far here. We just want to very passively open the hips. And then coming back to center, tucking your back toe, lifting your knee, and bring your right foot forward. Bend your knee, press into your feet, and inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, hands in front of your heart. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold forward. So bend your knees in time, don't hurt your lower back. From here, the left leg goes back, left knee on the floor. So again, if you have the blocks, grab the blocks. Walk your front foot forward if need be, and start to let go into your hips. So you can stay here, you can have your hands onto your thigh, whatever works for you, but see if you can keep your spine straight. If you're going all like sinking into the upper body, I don't think you're gonna feel a lot in the rest of your body. So just explore. You don't have to take what I say as truth. Everybody's truth is different. So Breathing. Releasing. And don't forget, when the weather is hot, or if you do hot yoga, your muscles are a little bit more flexible. So you want to be aware of that. That today you're like, woohoo, I'm so flexible today. I don't even feel the stretch. Same goes as it when it's cold. Then you might feel a little bit more stiff. So if you're practicing in an air-conditioned room, you probably feel the same as every day. And that's really going to give you a good idea of how the stretch is going today. Like for me, I feel like super flexible today. Although I know I didn't do anything special to achieve that. So, and then coming back, pressing the toes down, walking your blocks with you. So keeping the leg as straight as possible, but if there is a bend, there is a bend, that's okay. Pressing those toes down and really feeling the opening in the front of your foot, maybe in the back of your ankle, the Achilles area. So really pressing down. And then start to lift your foot up, lift your toes up, come onto the back of your ankle. And keeping that spine straight, maybe going a little bit more forward. So don't force it. And then bring the foot down. You can keep one block for your hand if you want to. Maybe bring the back knee a little bit more forward. So strong supporting arm. Arm means also strong supporting shoulder. Lengthen your upper body and then start to open up towards the right. So feel that connection from your fingertips towards the heel of your hand. See if you can maybe open up a little bit. Keep your right knee pointing towards your right toes. If you're comfortable, you can definitely look up. But feel that length into your spine. So don't look up and have a twist in your neck. That's a bend and a twist. That's really not very good for your neck. And then slowly come down. Put the block to the side. Walk your right foot out. Hand onto your thigh and open up the inside of your right foot by gently pressing the right thigh away from you. And then slowly coming back. Placing both your hands down, walk your right foot back to the center. This time we're gonna bring both knees back. Placing the hands at the front of your mat. Move the knees a little bit more back. And then come into a plank onto your knees. So same thing, strong arms as if you're pressing the top of your spine up to the sky and then lengthen your neck. So don't just let your head hang or look forward, just keep the neck in line with your spine, activate the core, tuck your toes and come into your plank and feel if there is anything changing. And then bring the knees down again, untuck your toes. So trying to keep that strength in your core, it's what's supporting you. Trying not to sink into your shoulders, press, tuck your toes, lengthen, plank. Bring the knees down, untuck your toes, press into your hands. Start to lift your bum up. You come to almost a neutral spine and then you reach back. So pressing the hands down so we're not going all the way towards our heels. We want to really hold on to that mat with the strength of our pressing the hands down. And then as you exhale, see if you can lengthen your spine, but roll the shoulders out so you create space everywhere. Inhale and exhale. And then inhale, come back to the front. And this time place the forearms onto the floor. Walk your knees a little bit more back and come down. So your shoulders should be under, your elbows should be under your shoulders. your forearms pointing forward and your elbows not wider than your shoulders. They can be as wide as your shoulders, but if you go out, then you're really going to just work with the muscles in the front of your chest. So you don't want to go there. We want to keep our chest nice and long. So press your forearms down and then pull your mat away. Keep your pubic bone solidly planted onto the ground. So your hips can be heavy here. Roll the shoulders back, reach your chest forward. And don't forget, your neck is part of your spine. So we're not looking up. We just want to have that natural curve of the spine continuing into our neck. So creating space into the lower back, maybe in your abdominals, you feel a little bit of a stretch as well. Maybe you feel it in your chest. The arms are working here, so don't be shy to pull back a little bit more, bring the shoulders a little bit more back, reaching the chest a little bit more forward. Sphinx pose. And then slowly release. Make a pillow with your hands and bring your forehead just for a few breaths. And then slowly come back up. Keep your left arm bent, so your left elbow is below your left shoulder or a little bit more to the front. You need to be stable here. And then bend your left knee. So this can be enough for you. If you can reach your left foot with your right hand and then bring your foot towards your buttocks. So we're not going to start to lift and everything. Just make sure that you're pressing your groin area, so that where the hip crease is, press it down so you can get a little bit more stretch into your quadriceps. If you want, you can place your hand behind your foot and then for a moment start to push your foot back, opening that right shoulder and then coming back. And bring the heel towards your buttock. And then release. And let's change sides. So find your support onto your forearm. Don't bring your elbow outside of your shoulder, because that's, again, is going to create that work in the pectorals in your chest. So we just want to keep the chest as wide as possible. Bend your right knee, grab your right foot. So first of all, we're just gonna see how far we get. Press your right thigh onto the floor. Press your hip groin onto the floor. If you want, grab your foot the other way and pull the foot back, opening the left shoulder. And then bring it back and press a little bit more. If you stop breathing, you go too far. And then release. Let's make our pillow again. Place our forehead or the chin, and then bend your knees and lift your feet, and then gently sway your legs from side to side. So just to release the lower back. And then coming back to center, lengthening the legs, placing the hands under the shoulders, tucking the toes, and it's very slowly move into a downward dog. So we're just gonna go into one downward dog. So adjust if you need, stop at your knees. Wherever you are, move slowly, move fast, whatever you need today. And maybe observe, why do I absolutely need to move fast today? Or why do I absolutely need to move slow today? Maybe there's no answer, that's fine. And just to stay aware. So once you're in your downward dog, we just did a back bend. So maybe you feel your back stretching out again. And again, find that length into your spine. So roll the shoulders out, widening the upper back. Keep your knees bent if your hamstrings are a little bit too tight this morning. And then start maybe to walk your dog or stay one side, whatever you need. And then with your next inhale, come forward into your plank. And then knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. We're gonna do that one more time. So move with your breath and choose what you wanna do. So find your dog first, find your ground. Inhale, come into plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. And I just feel like doing one more. If you don't, go into child's pose, take a rest. So inhaling, plank. Exhaling. Inhaling. And exhaling. And then let's meet in our child's pose. So bring the knees down. Bring the bum towards the heels, forehead resting on something without too much of a bend into your neck. And then bring the arms back. Let your shoulders drop. And then from here, placing the hands next to your face, gently press yourself up and turn around. So bring the legs in front of you. If you need to sit on something so that you can tilt better into the hips and be able to reach the hip crease, please do so. So we're gonna be gentle with our forward fold today. So first things first, point your feet up. So your legs are very active, your toes are pointing up. The feet can be as wide as your hips, so they don't necessarily need to be together. Take a breath in, and then reach your arms up. And that might be enough for you today. So see if you can really find that tilt into the hips so that you already feel that you're ready to move forward. Maybe ready to move forward if you have the space or when you have the space into your hamstrings. Inhale, reach up. So really creating that space. And then bring the right arm down. Bring it onto the floor and exhale, go towards the right. So keeping the spine long, keeping the legs very active, toes pointing up as if you were standing in Tadasana, but folded forward. So we can do this because we have a bit more support. And then coming back up, reach up again, find that space. Bring the left hand down and then go over. Maybe this feels different than what we did in the beginning with the side stretch. Keeping those legs active and then come back to the center, reaching up. So really reaching up, get all the space you can into your spine and then exhale, see where your hands are gonna touch, keeping the spine straight. So maybe that's not very far. Inhale, lengthening, and then exhale, folding forward. Maybe it's here, maybe you're easily at your toes. Wherever you are, that's where you are, and that's the most important. Inhale, exhale. So keep finding that length in the upper body so that you can reach into your hip crease to fold a little bit deeper and work with your breath. And then very slowly coming back up. Bring the hands in the back. So if you're sitting onto something, you can take it away. We're going to bring our hands in the back, the fingers pointing forward, but by all means, if that's not comfortable for you, look where is more comfortable. Bend your knees. So we're going to go into a reverse tabletop, which is a good stretch for the shoulder in a way that we rarely do. So roll the shoulders back, open your chest, activate your core, press into your feet and start to lift your hips up. So reverse tabletop, neck in line with the spine. Unless this is too much, then you just look forward. Roll, continue rolling the shoulders back. and then come down. We're gonna do this one more time. There is a variation where you can keep your legs long and then press into your hands, and this time it's not a tabletop anymore, but it's doing the same thing towards your shoulders, plus it's very active in the rest of your body. Keep on breathing. And then release. Bend your knees, hug your knees, and just come forward. So you can release into your shoulders a little bit. And then slowly lengthen out the right leg. So again, if you need to sit on something, grab that so that I can have my spine really straight. Keep the right foot on the inside of your left thigh. So you want to bring it as close as possible. So we're not going to bring it over. And then inhale, lengthen. And then very gently as you exhale, start to rotate towards the right. Bring your left elbow on the ends, the inside of your left elbow around, wrap it around your right knee. So lengthen up with the strength that you can have from your pulling onto your right knee. Lengthen out. And then you can bring your right hand in the back and continue to walk your body backwards so that your shoulders are in line with your left leg. So if you feel that there's something stuck, see if you can come back a little bit and then lengthen again. So really don't hesitate to pull onto that right leg and press into the floor with your right hand to create a bit more space. If you want, you can look backwards, so creating an additional twist into your neck. Keep on breathing. And then coming back. Change legs, so right leg is strong, active, left foot inside of the right thigh. Hold on to your knee and lengthen your upper body. And then bring the elbow crease of your right arm around your left knee. And then inhale, lengthen. And already you're gonna be rotating. And then bring your hands, your left hand, on the floor and start to lengthen. Eventually, you can bring your left hand onto your right thigh through the back and then really hold on there. But for now, let's keep the hand onto the floor. And again, if you want, look back and observe your spine. Can you breathe easily here? Or is there a place where you're like struggling and for some people, there will be fighting. So there's frustration building up. For others, they're just gonna turn back and say, okay, what the heck? So we just wanna explore with our breath, inhaling, lengthening, exhaling, inhaling, lengthening, exhaling, maybe looking back, and then coming back to center and release. Bring the soles of the feet together, placing your hands onto your ankles and very gently moving forward. So you can gently press with your forearms or with your elbows into your legs to open up. Your head is heavy, your spine is rounding, you're just dropping forward. So gentle pressing into your legs. And as you exhale, see if you can send a bit more release towards your hips. Letting go. No pain in the lower back ever. So if you feel pain, maybe you need to bring your tailbone a little bit more down or your pubic bone a little bit more up. And that's going to create a little bit more space. Maybe it's not that, maybe you're just pushing too far. So come back up then. Dropping the head. And then gently coming up. Bring the knees together. And let's move down into our Shavasana. So move the way you want to move into it, coming down onto your back, maybe making a little ball, maybe just bring your knees into your chest. Staying where you arrive as long as you need it. And then lengthening the legs eventually to come into your Shavasana. Allowing your body to rest now. And through our practice to restore. So this final relaxation pose is absolutely necessary after a practice. So I always encourage people not to skip it. Explore it. Even if you think it's nothing for you, explore it. And then slowly coming back or staying. Taking a breath in and a breath out, moving toes and fingers, nose, maybe the head from side to side, but please move slowly. Stretching yourself out if that's what you need with a big inhale. And then exhale, bring the knees into the chest. And then roll over to one side, making a pillow. And then bring the hand in front and gently press yourself up into a seated position. Bring the hands in front of your heart. Gently tucking the chin. Thank you for sharing, for practicing. Thank you for you to show up. And I wish you a very peaceful day. Namaste.